Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about Wits and Wagers Trivia Party. I first heard about the Wits and Wagers app, almost 2 years ago at Toy Fair, and it's been being worked on this entire time by Backflip Studios, who you'll know from other iOS hits such as Nin Jump and Paper Toss. This is definitely made by a mainstream developer, but stays true to the board game. Let's take a look and see how the app functions and if it's something that's worth your time and a little bit of your cash. Let's take a look. Wits and Wagers Party functions on one basic premise. That premise is that you are not going to be playing against your friends in real time. However, you'll be playing against AIs that are based on them. Now, I currently don't have any Facebook friends playing the game, but I have played against other Facebook users that appear to be actually based on their either previous answers or the way they generally answer. So they will bet and answer based on their skill level in certain areas as well as their typical patterns of betting. For those that aren't familiar with Wits and Wagers, the goal of the game is to get the closest to an answer of a given question, which will be a number, and then you place bets thinking which answer is actually closest without going over. This is pretty interesting to do, and it definitely is more about logic and reasoning rather than knowing exactly what the trivia answer is, which is what makes it a trivia question or a trivia game that I really enjoy. There are quite a few features that are pretty interesting in the app. It seems to flow very well. The sort of AI players seem to answer generally pretty well. Some give some goofy answers. One thing players aren't going to like is the boost option. What this allows you to do is essentially cheat in the game. You can eliminate answers, which will allow you to, have a better chance of knowing what the answer may be. You can eliminate two answers that could be wrong. You can see the average, which seems to be a broken feature at this time. And you can also see where other players have placed their bets. Admittedly, this is one of those casual sort of game features that I'm not really a fan of, and I really wish it necessarily wasn't there. However, these little boosts, if you put them in context, are not that big of a deal, as you are actually not playing against other players directly, but just kind of trying to do the best you can yourself. But again, they do help make winning fairly easy if you know what you're doing and have a little experience with trivia games. Well, as you play, the game will build a profile of you. As you can see, it shows what areas I'm strong in and which ones I've been weak in. It also shows what places I won and how many of those, as well as sort of leveling rank, which is currently know-it-all. That I don't think is based on much more than just how much you play. And what rank you get, you'll receive a little experience each time. This sort of profile building is interesting, and I would love to know if other players have ended up playing with me and what their experience has been. I really find this an interesting idea and something that I hope other companies will explore in the future. One note to remember is that you do not have to have a Facebook login to play. You can play without it. I've chosen to do it here just because I wanted to see if any of my friends were online, which they were not. There is a large part of me that wanted to dislike this game, mostly because it's made by a casual studio and has a lot of casual trimmings. And don't get me wrong, the casual trimmings are there. The boost functions, the coins that you collect, which I don't think you can buy more of, but they definitely are a defining resource. The non-threatening brunette that introduces the game, these sorts of things make the game feel very casual and kind of a little bit away from what we usually cover. However, the core Wits and Wagers gameplay is there, and I definitely have been enjoying it. It's hard to deny that the game is not well polished, and the AI system they developed is both unique and works extremely well. I think that I've felt a very varied experience with each player that I've come across, and I think this system could continue to develop into something that others could use in their games to develop AIs that reflect actual players rather than some sort of set algorithms. So I really have enjoyed the game, and I think this is a great way to play Wits and Wagers. It is not going to allow you to sit around with family and friends and play the game as you typically would, but it is going to allow you to have a great solo experience, and you can compete indirectly with your friends. A major negative here, actually, is that the game is always online. You always have to be connected to the internet, and it seems to take quite a while to load, especially even on LTE or 4G. And so this is a bit of a challenge and something that I think they should fix in the future, as I'm not sure being online is entirely essential, though that may be where they're pulling the AI data from rather than having it sit on your device in some way. Overall, this app is a great example of how a party game can work on iOS. They've taken some of the core mechanics and boiled it down to something that works on the system rather than trying to emulate the social experience. The app is definitely worth picking up at a free price point to check out, and the ability to remove ads is not very expensive. With Backflip being acquired by Hasbro just recently, it'll be interesting to see what the studio does and if they turn more of these classic board games into something that is more social and casual, which is not necessarily a bad thing in the case of some games.